Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back. Since many of you, I would not say absolutely everyone, but many of you have been enjoying my series on just chit chatting about life and making decisions and how to make things happen. Today, I wanted to talk about celebrating. And I know this is kind of small on the screen, but I'm going to read out each one of these and include a list below. So if you want to copy and paste them into your notes somewhere and add to them, like this is just my version. I'm sure I have forgotten about some things. I I do try to put as many things in here as that come to me, but I would love to hear your suggestions as I'm going. Leave a leave a comment below, and tell me what you think about celebrating. How have you celebrated? And do any of these ring true to you? Did I miss anything? So, after you have finished a project, sometimes, and I know for myself, I'm speaking mainly about this from my point of view because I do have a difficult time celebrating when something is done. I do think it is a very important thing to do. And our past experiences can very much influence how we celebrate. So let's dive into this. It may not feel real yet, is the first one here. Sometimes when we have thought about the project or the task for so long, it can still have this like echoing effect of like, I still need to do it, but it's possibly in your past by now. So at this point, before you're celebrating, the achievement has happened. And it can take it can take maybe a day or two to go, wait, I really did achieve that. And kind of even looking at yourself in the mirror going, hey, I made that happen. I'm a person who did this. Some of the things for me were like traveling overseas for the first time of like, oh my gosh, I've always dreamed about going to this place and now I'm here. I'm that person that gets on a plane and does this. At least I did once, right? Yeah, it can be really hard for our brain to just go, this actually is true in my life. And so it can take some time to sink in, and it just may not feel real yet. Some things are in the future that are about to happen. But say, like starting a new job, starting school, something like you're accepted into school, like there's these things that are coming up that you get to do. So because you're not doing them yet, you may not feel like they're real. And that's what stems into the next one. I forgot. ADHD. It may be upcoming. So it could be that there's a date scheduled for something. It could be a wedding. It could be a project release date, a product that you're having coming out. And so you may need to celebrate again, So there can be celebration in the fact that it's scheduled and it got on the calendar and it got okayed, or it's going to be coming up. And then there's the celebration of after even that happens. So it just depends on the situation, whether or not the actual thing has happened. But sometimes we need to pre-celebrate, right? We need to say, hey, this is a big deal. I got this new job. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. This is a big one here. You may feel like you don't deserve it. This is something that I think we feel kind of alone in sometimes, when something really good happens and then we're like, wait, me? Why should I have this opportunity? Or why am I getting to step forward in this? Why do I get to reap the benefits of this? And I would highly, highly suggest journaling or talking to a therapist or talking with family members or friends. And sometimes a lot of the people around us can remind us why we are the ones making things happen. why these opportunities are coming upon us. Maybe there is a lot of hard work being put into this, and maybe it's something that you greatly deserve, but it can be really hard when you've heard a lot of no's, or you've heard a lot of times in your life that you don't. There could be a pattern of other people's voices telling you you don't deserve this. And it can be very, very strange and uncomfortable when people are like, no, you do deserve to do this. It's something you may want to look deeper into. It's not something that's going to be on my list that's going to help. But if there's something ongoing saying, I don't feel like I deserve this, there's something deep in the root of that you may want to take a deeper look at. You need to celebrate that you grew. So this next one just says you grew, right? How did you grow? How did you grow into this person that you get to experience this celebration of this happening? What did you learn along the way? What kind of mistakes were made that you grew from and made things even better, or steered you in the right direction, or you have knowledge of next time this happens? In what ways did you grow? Because we're constantly growing. We're constantly growing. And if we aren't looking back and going, wow, when I think about the person who started this, I kind of cringe. Well, maybe that's a good thing. You grew to become the person who's celebrating today. There were so many points where you could have said, no, I don't need to do it that way, or I want to keep it the same, or I don't know if I'm going to finish this, and not have grown yourself. But to celebrate something means you grew in some kind of way. There is always a way that achieving things makes us grow into our better selves, our new selves. What would make the celebration fulfilling? So thinking about the actual art of celebrating, what could really touch your heart, touch your soul a bit, of just going, you know what? Yeah, I really did this. It can be so many times that we can think, I'm just going to brush past the celebration, or I'm just going to have a really small celebration, and it's not really marking the gravity of how big a deal that is. And how can you match, not dollars, not like, spending a whole bunch of money on something is not the point of it. The point is, how do you make it significant in your life? How can you make it fulfilling to go, you know what, when I do hard things, I show up for myself to be there and to celebrate what I've done. Much like, a friend or a family member would be there for you to celebrate. How do you do that for yourself so that it feels really fulfilling? Is there something tangible to help remind you of your accomplishment? So it could be something that is actually part of a project. Maybe there's some kind of souvenir or leftover type thing that you can, frame your first paycheck, or, there was some kind of, like if you're designing something and you have like iterations of it, or like design mock-ups, can you have that to remind you of that hard work that you did? Or do you want to splurge on something that's really nice for yourself? Again, you don't have to break the bank for it. But sometimes when we have these tangible things, and especially for myself with ADHD, I forget so easily all that hard work, like every little facet of hard work that I put into something. And when I see a small tangible thing, it could be a magnet, it could be like something that's very small, or it could be a new purse. Whatever, that you really know that it would be fulfilling to you. Going back to the last one, how could that thing be there for you to remind you of all that hard work? Would an experience be more meaningful? Could there be an experience that instead of having a tangible thing, like you finish school or something, that you just graduated, could a trip, somewhere be a really great way of saying, I worked hard for 4 years or 6 years or more. I'm going to go to Italy for a week or two. Again, that's a lot of money, but I'm just saying it can be that because it's such a long and big thing that you really need to celebrate with an experience that you've always wanted to do. Something that just, or that you got a promotion at work and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to go roller skating at the local roller skating rink. Like, it doesn't have to be like amazing. Or it could be like a special dinner at a special place that has like multiple courses or something. Would that experience mark the occasion that will just like, you can always think back to that experience? Something for me in the past week, because my husband did get a new job, was it just happened to be around that time that the aurora lights were going on in the Seattle area. And we went outside and we just experienced them. And I have to say, like, the two things are just like intertwined because they just happened around the same time. But I was celebrating both, and it was just really wonderful to kind of have that double experience of something I never thought would happen. The auroras combined with a really happy family celebration that we're having. So it can be something like that where it just is like, I will never forget that experience because it happened to coincide with it, or because you work so hard on the thing that you're celebrating. Really important about this one. Who helped you? Who helped you? I know a lot of times we can feel alone in our accomplishments, but we do have a lot of people around us trying to support and guide us along our way. Who helped you get to this point? And it could be that it was you, that you were standing by your own side the whole time. But if there are people supporting you, who can you thank? Who can you invite into the celebration? So say you have several family members who helped you, whether it was like babysitting kids or lending money or just any kind of support with homework or something that you helped you along the way. How can you invite them into that celebration? Whether there's multiple little gifts or there's this great dinner experience with everybody. It's really good to celebrate with other people. And you can, all these other ones you can celebrate with other people, but especially to the people who helped you, who helped get you there. Share your joy. Credit those who supported you. I guess it should say you there. I believe so much in sharing your joy. I think it can be amazing to share with others that sometimes what you're celebrating is what will help others. You can be an inspiration to get where you're going. You could be the first in your family to do something. You could be the first in your community to do something. How can you bring that joy to others because you have achieved this or achieved it with other people? How can you share this joy? Maybe you have a new product coming out and it could really help others in your community. So how can you celebrate with everyone? It can be a grand opening, right? You could be opening doors to a brand new business that the community really needs. So how can you help bring that joy to other people? Look back before you look forward. So this is like one of the biggest things for me. I always keep looking forward, but if I don't take that pause to celebrate where I've come from, how many steps I took, how much time it took, how much of my physical resources, my stamina, my thoughts and dreams coming together. How can I reflect upon that to celebrate? I do think celebrating is part of the reflection. And when we take time to reflect, it can help us propel us forward, because we recognize that we can do these things, that we can become these things. And it helps us spread the word to others that they can do it too. It's just everyone's different, but there is a set of circumstances that helped you get to where you are, whether it's you and all the planning you did or others, really reflecting on looking back before you step forward. Acknowledge your strengths. Like, this is a really hard one sometimes, especially if we have chronic illnesses, or, neurodivergent conditions. Like, it can be hard to think, especially when a lot of us may have heard from other people that we have deficits, that we have a lot of strengths. You contain strengths. Of course you do. You're here. You're fighting for it. You are taking steps forward. And even if they are smaller steps than other people, they are steps. And they should be celebrated too. My goodness. We all have our strengths. It can be connecting other people. It can be writing. It can be cheerleading. It can be creating things that will help other people. It can be making YouTube videos. It can be so many things. Acknowledge what your strengths are. And if you don't know, you can ask people. It's okay to ask. Say, you know what? I feel a little lost. I don't know what my strengths are. It's okay to ask other people, because I think others will see them more clearly. At least for me, I know I can feel a little muddy on this of like, well, what do I actually do? What can I actually provide? And my friends and family can be like, you're really good at organization. You're really good at just speaking off the top of your head here, like I do for these videos. These are my only notes here. This is just what I go off of. But I know there's always people who can do things with more skill, but they don't have my particular set of skills, I guess. It sounds like it's from a movie, right? But I'm looking at this. I don't know if I spelled it right, but anyway, dyslexia. But, and it may be spelled right, but I'm just thinking, like, all of us are unique in our own ways. We all have our strengths, and sometimes we don't hear it enough. And so when we feel a little lost, sometimes talking to others about what our strengths are can make things a whole lot clearer, so that you can be celebrating those strengths. And sometimes just knowing them can start a whole new cycle or a new project so that you can celebrate in the future. And then how can your successes help others? This is kind of like sharing joy with others. Your successes can greatly influence those around you. They can, even if it's not the same type of work, but like if you see someone else going to school, you're like, wow, maybe I could take like one class. If you see someone else starting a business, just think, hey, maybe I could do something really small. Like, those small things can then be a catalyst to something much bigger down the road. You hear so many people's success stories. They're like, you know what? I was inspired by this person. Maybe it's a teacher that they had. Maybe it's someone that they followed their journey, and just go, you know what? Because I see them doing amazing things, I want to do amazing things myself too. So you may not ever feel like the person that's inspiring others. I would say all the other people who have been the ones that inspire others, I would say they probably would never have had a clue either. But you are inspiring others. You are helping others get ideas of how far they can make it in their lives so they can celebrate too. So as you're celebrating, I think it's really important that to be that inspiration is because you're celebrating something. It's not always. I'm thinking of different scenarios here of like, you know, you finish writing a book and so that can inspire someone else too. But then there's just like people who are just kind of constantly themselves in somebody's lives, like teachers. Although I think you can celebrate teachers anytime, but you can celebrate like teachers who have been there 5, 10, 20, 30 years. But to have that constant person in kids' lives that are inspiring, or even in college, like sometimes you can just say, well, they were just being them. And yet I think we could look at these inspirations and say, yeah, you need to be celebrated. You need to, even if they don't have like a big release, or they're not like, oh, here's my new movie release, here's my new book, they still need to be celebrated. This is my 4th year of teaching. Let's celebrate that, right? Because you're going to get to a 5th and you're going to get to a 10th if you want to keep going. So thinking of all the ways you can celebrate and all the reasons to celebrate and all the reasons why we celebrate, I think is really important to say, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to sit for a while and just slow down and reflect, or just be happy with others because we did something amazing in our lives. So what did I miss? I know I've missed things. So let me know in the comments below what you think I could add to this list, maybe in an upcoming video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like this on the way out if you enjoyed this one or the series I have linked below as well. I think it's a beautiful cycle to decide, to implement, to initiate something, to be in the messy middle, to finish something up, and then to celebrate it. There is something really magical about completing that cycle, but also beginning it again. So thank you, everyone. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.